What's up, everybody? Welcome to my review of the Mint Discs Prophet. This one is in Royal Plastic. It is a first run. Big thank you to Mint Discs for sending me this disc to test and review. They also sent me the Bobcat and the Freetail, both of which I enjoyed and have been previously reviewed. If you're interested to go check that out, I appreciate them hooking me up with some plastic to check out and to have represented here on the playlist. So let's take a look at this thing. Prophet. And there is the kind of serial number for this disc. I'm trying to get into a good focal point here, but it says number RO, which is for Royal Plastic, and then PRO for Prophet, or PR for Prophet, I think, 01, and then 19 for the year of manufacture, so you know it is a Royal Plastic, you know it's a Prophet, and you know it's a first run, and it was produced in 2019. I could be wrong, but I think that's how the serial numbers work. If I was wrong about that, you won't see it, because I'll go back and fix it. So, taking a look at the stamp here, pretty simple, basic, not much to it. There's your little Mint Discs logo, and there's a picture of a pig with money, like a little piggy bank kind of deal. Marked 172. I did not get it on the scale, but I would imagine it is right around there. I think it maybe was a couple more grams when I checked it a while ago, but I didn't refresh that to make sure. So taking a look at it, it's pretty flat across the top for sure. It is a putter. It is definitely a slow disc for sure. Let's take a look at the bottom here. You can see it's got not like a micro bead per se, but a small bead. You can also see that it's not super durable. It's already taken a reasonable amount of wear. And I think that was from like maybe once or twice landing on a walking path out in the field, because we really only tested this in the field. It's never really seen on-course throws. So, yeah, you can see how much wear is already on that bead from 2 different field testing sessions. So definitely not the most durable plastic in the world. It's pretty firm too. There's almost no flexibility to it, which I don't typically care for. It's relatively grippy. It's not like amazing grip, but it's not slippery either. And all in all, it feels fine in the hand. I don't mind the bead and the way it locks into my throwing grip for putters and stuff. Like, it feels fine there. No real issue. I always like the flat top, so that's all good. And then you can see on this outer edge, it's pretty rounded here. That has a little bit of a slope there running into the bead. Let's put it up next to a couple other options, as I like to do. First of all, the Caltrup, which is a disc I use in my bag for probably similar situations to what you'd use the Prophet for. See, the Caltrup is deeper, no bead, kind of more blunt, a little bit flatter on that front edge. Just as flat, but it's got the little dimple there. So there it is next to the Caltrup. Give you one more quick peek at that before we move on. Then we have kind of a classic disc. This is a great older plastic run of this too. This is a Zone. This is an old ESP Zone. My buddy Andy loaned me for purposes like this. Let me know if you want me to do a full updated review on the Zone, because I reviewed the Zone a million years ago before I really knew how to do disc reviews, before really anybody else was doing disc reviews. It's a really old disc. It's been around forever. I might update the review if you guys are interested, and let me know. There you can see the Zone has a similar slope to it and outside edge, but no bead. Zone has a little bit more of a sharp corner into the flat top of the flight plate there. And then one more quick one. We also have the Evolution Tactic. And there it is next to the Tactic, which is another kind of very Zone-ish type disc. But it's got more of a rounded outside edge here, and then it kind of indents a little bit leading up to the inner rim on the Tactic. So all in all, I don't mind the feel. It's not my favorite plastic. It's a little grippier after you wash it and stuff. If it gets dirt on it, it starts to feel a little slippery, but no big deal. I prefer softer plastics, but that's really just a personal preference thing. So let's talk about the flight of this thing. We tested this disc on 2 different occasions. I wanted to kind of brush up on it before we actually brought this review to the channel, and I also wanted Andy to get a chance to test it, to bring that data into the equation, because our first testing session with this disc was pretty interesting. Me and James both were kind of shocked at how stable it was, and it was just kind of dropping. It didn't really go very far, and I was kind of surprised by it. I was not really expecting it to do what it did. Throw it pretty hard and slight hyzer, it would kind of flip up to flat and then just really not go anywhere and want to get down to the ground. And it's not like it was really dropping and fading into the left hard. It was like a slight fade, but as soon as it started to lose speed, it was headed for the ground, especially if you throw this thing low. We noticed that time after time. It's very unforgiving. If you throw it a little bit low, you're just going to throw a grounder with it real quick. You definitely got to get some air under it if you want to stretch any distance. The other reason I wanted to test it again is because I want to make sure we brought in Andy to try this disc, because he has a different natural release than I do and than James does. He doesn't throw quite as far as James. He definitely throws farther than I do, but he has a different style to his game, and he's better at throwing flat with power. So it actually did seem like he was able to connect with this disc faster than James or I. We definitely had a little bit more trouble with it. I started to get a feel for it later on. Definitely in the second testing session, I got a little bit more of a feel for it. But time after time, definitely low glide, very slow, very beefy for sure. It's not like, again, it's not like you throw it and it goes straight and then it dives out on a strong fade at the end of the flight. It's more of a sweeping fade. If you put it on hyzer, it holds it really strong and it will fight down to the ground on that sharp hyzer angle. But thrown flat, it sometimes will fly really straight and flat all the way and then just land pretty flat, but it just ends up not getting a ton of distance. And I can actually get it pulled over on Anheuser and get it to hold almost all the way to the ground, or pretty much all the way to the ground as well. So again, it's not like aggressively fading back out of that with a lot of really overstable tendencies. It more just doesn't really like to glide or float in the air based on our testing. So interesting disc, definitely one that I think would be great for approaches when you need to really control your distance. If you have issues kind of blowing past the basket, this could be a good option for you to check out. Give it a little hyzer, get a little air under it, let it fly, and then let it kind of sweep in there and just kind of drop straight down once it starts to slow down. I would definitely feel comfortable throwing this thing on those kind of more risky approaches, or times where I really wanted to throw something, take the guesswork out of it, play the little chip hyzer, and know this disc isn't going to go super far, really no matter what I did with it. Really didn't use this disc for putting at all. Based on our first testing session, it flew so beefy, I kind of immediately categorized it as more of an approach disc and a short range tee shot disc. And putting is a very individual thing anyway, so it's not always something that I feel like is super important to show. If it's a disc that's really exclusively designed to be putted inside the circle, or one that I'm using to putt inside the circle, I may include more of that footage. But yeah, just being flat out honest, I don't know if I putted with this disc at all. We were just using it as a thrower. That being said, it probably would be a really solid putter for windy conditions, since it is more of that kind of beefy, stable flight to it. Probably be a pretty good headwind putter, because it still has more of a putter diameter and kind of feel in the hand than something like a zone or a tactic or whatever, but still definitely has that extra stability where you could kind of spin it in there and probably be less affected in the wind than some of the kind of more understable putters like I tend to use. I think it's ultimately probably better suited for more power players if you're using it as a throwing putter off the tee. I think you're going to want to put some good speed and spin on this thing to get a full flight out of it for sure. But it definitely wants to get down to the ground. It's an interesting disc that will hold lines, but it still kind of stays beefy even if when it's turned over. So interesting disc to test. That is my review on the Royal Plastic Prophet by Mint Discs. Thank you so much to everybody who supports the channel. Thank you to Mint Discs for sending me this thing to test and review. I had a good time checking out their more recent releases over the last few months. Huge shout out to all of my fans, viewers, supporters out there. You guys are amazing. And thank you to the Disc Golf Nerd Patreon support team. I will talk to you all very soon. Cheers. Thank you so much for watching, and big thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. If you would like to see your name listed in the credits of all of my videos, go to patreon.com/discgolfnerd.